Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And this is a compilation video of everything we shot with Kevin regarding his collection. So I had released these videos individually, but this is the entire collection that Kevin showed off. It's pretty long, but if you guys love Guns N' Roses merchandise and collectibles, you're really going to enjoy this video. I want to thank Kevin for sharing his collection with us, as well as Jeff for helping us film some of this stuff as well. So without further ado, guys, enjoy it. And for some of you new subscribers who haven't seen this stuff, I think you're really going to get a kick out of what we have to show you in this video.
Okay, so here you see the Guns N' Roses Night Train single, or single, I guess you'd say. And this is signed by the original 5. So Guns N' Roses Night Train with Reckless Life, Knockin' on Heaven's Door, also were on that release. Okay, and I have a GNR Lies, front and back. Both front and back of GNR Lies signed by the original 5. This was a special item that was from a radio station at the time where they had signed it. This is Appetite for Destruction, signed by the original 5. This is the BPI, which is the British equivalent of the Radio Association Award for more than 300,000 copies of Appetite for Destruction, 1987, awarded to none other than Steven Adler. So this would be the equivalent in the US. It's 1 million for platinum, 500,000 for gold, I believe, and this is the BPI Platinum Album Award. This was certified by Deanna Adler and authenticated as well. Okay, so let me move on to a few other items. This is the Rolling Stone September 1991 issue. This is a poster of that Rolling Stone cover signed by the band members, including Dizzy Reed, but it was not signed by Izzy. One of the last photo shoots with Izzy. So again, that would be from the Illusion era. And then bear with me for a second while I get the other item out. I showed you the Appetite for Destruction signed by the band. This is the Appetite for Destruction original limited edition. I believe there were 30,000 of these pressed. I could be wrong. I believe it was 30,000 as I recall. And this is again the original band with a little bit of a sort of a display with a picture of them, but you can see I like the fact that it's in a blue Sharpie. I like those bright blue Sharpies. Okay, and then I do have another item to share with you that's in plastic. So it's not going to be as clear to see, and maybe I'll show you in more detail next time. But again, time's a little bit limited at this very moment, but this is another poster. This is a poster that is obviously framed and also in mint condition, and this is signed by all 5 original members. There's a plastic bag around it just to keep it safe. I haven't displayed it yet, but this is signed by Duff, Steven Adler, Slash, Izzy, Axel, and it is dated on somewhere down here. I have it. It's dated 1988, signed 1988. So I have not seen very many posters from 1988. And that is certainly one of them. So again, I just wanted to share a little bit about what I have, And thank you all. And I'll turn that around to show you. Alright guys, I hope that you got something out of that. Just wanted to share some of the key, some signed memorabilia that I've collected over 30 years. I started collecting in 1987. My first Guns N' Roses concert was in 1987. I grew up in Los Angeles. I do have a lot of other stuff, but I want to just kind of give you a sort of part one of my memorabilia collection. All right, you take care. Hope you're all doing well. Bye. Hi guys, this is Kevin from GNR Central. What I thought I'd do today is show you a little bit of some of the highlights of my Guns N' Roses collection with the few minutes that I have this evening. Just a few key points. Some very rare collectibles that are unique, and I thought I would start with this poster because this was the first official release by Guns N' Roses. The first release was, as you know, Live Like a Suicide. It was an EP, limited edition, December 1986, 10,000 copies on vinyl and cassette. And what you may not know is that they actually did release an official poster back in 1986 dedicated to the fans and all of the people that had helped put the EP together. So this is the poster. It is a poster that is of what also appeared on the cover of Live Like a Suicide with Duff and Axl, and there's 4 songs, as you know. And let me just kind of rotate this around here. It's a pretty good sized poster, and you can see on the bottom it says, "This poster is dedicated to our friends for support in the streets as well as the stage." So this was a limited edition poster. It's over 30 years old, so I don't know how many exist, but I've never seen it anywhere else. I obtained 1 copy and I had it framed professionally. So again, this is the first official released poster by Guns N' Roses, 1986, promoting Live Like a Suicide. And then if we move along here to the next item, starting with, again, the early items, Live Like a Suicide, 1986. This is a signed Live Like a Suicide original. This is signed by all 5 members of Guns N' Roses, and this is very unique and very special. This was given to me by a friend named Ronnie Schneider, who was the first bassist, or the bassist for Slash's first band, Titus Sloan. So there's some history behind this, and again, if you take close-ups of the autographs, it's very unique because it was signed in a blue, I believe that's a blue ballpoint pen, and then of course the original Live Like a Suicide, and I had this framed professionally. So again, sorry for the reflection. I had it sort of plated up there, Guns N' Roses Live Like a Suicide, original, signed 1986. Alright, so the next year, 1987, Guns N' Roses, as you know, July 1987, Appetite for Destruction was released. This is a promo poster from Appetite for Destruction, signed by the original 5, and this was a photo taken from approximately March or April of 1987. So again, signed by the band. This was signed in 1987 by all 5 members, and it's a promotional poster. Now there were posters that were also mock-up posters that were never released to the public, even in limited edition, and this is a limited edition promo poster. This is the backside of Appetite for Destruction, and this particular poster is a mock-up poster that was rejected early in development and was never released to the public, and to my knowledge is the only one in existence. So again, it's a familiar picture from the back side of Appetite for Destruction, but, and again, sorry for the reflection, but want to give you all some sense of what I have and show you a little bit here. So hi guys, this is Kevin from GNR Central. What I thought I'd do today is show you a little bit of some of the highlights of my Guns N' Roses collection with the few minutes that I have this evening. Just a few key points. Some very rare collectibles that are unique, and I thought I would start with this poster because this was the first official release by Guns N' Roses. The first release was, as you know, Live Like a Suicide. It was an EP, limited edition, December 1986, 10,000 copies on vinyl and cassette. And what you may not know is that they actually did release an official poster back in 1986 dedicated to the fans and all of the people that had helped put the EP together. So this is the poster. It is a poster that is of what also appeared on the cover of Live Like a Suicide with Duff and Axl, and there's 4 songs, as you know. And let me just kind of rotate this around here. It's a pretty good sized poster, and you can see on the bottom it says, "This poster is dedicated to our friends for support in the streets as well as the stage." So this was a limited edition poster. It's over 30 years old, so I don't know how many exist, but I've never seen it anywhere else. I obtained 1 copy and I had it framed professionally. So again, this is the first official released poster by Guns N' Roses, 1986, promoting Live Like a Suicide. And then if we move along here to the next item, starting with, again, the early items, Live Like a Suicide, 1986. This is a signed Live Like a Suicide original. This is signed by all 5 members of Guns N' Roses, and this is very unique and very special. This was given to me by a friend named Ronnie Schneider, who was the first bassist, or the bassist for Slash's first band, Titus Sloan. So there's some history behind this, and again, if you take close-ups of the autographs, it's very unique because it was signed in a blue, I believe that's a blue ballpoint pen, and then of course the original Live Like a Suicide, and I had this framed professionally. So again, sorry for the reflection. I had it sort of plated up there, Guns N' Roses Live Like a Suicide, original signed 1986. All right, so the next year, 1987, Guns N' Roses, as you know, July 1987, Appetite for Destruction was released. This is a promo poster from Appetite for Destruction, signed by the original 5, and this was a photo taken from approximately March or April of 1987. So again, signed by the band. This was signed in 1987 by all 5 members, and it's a promotional poster. Now there were posters that were also mock-up posters that were never released to the public, even in limited edition, and this is a limited edition promo poster. This is the backside of Appetite for Destruction, and this particular poster is a mock-up poster that was rejected early in development and was never released to the public, and to my knowledge is the only one in existence. So again, it's a familiar picture from the back side of Appetite for Destruction, but, and again, sorry for the reflection, but want to give you all some sense of what I have and show you a little bit here. So
we're here with Kevin and Jeff, and Kevin's being nice enough to actually show us his collection and talk about some of the stuff he has. So right now we're talking about The Veins, which was, as far as we know, Duff's first album he put out like in a band. So why don't you show us the album, Kevin? Tell us a little bit about it for those who don't know.
Right, so Duff McKagan was in a lot of bands, punk bands, prior to joining Guns N' Roses in 1985, and he was in The Farts, 10 Minute Warning, but this particular one is special, The Veins. He was in this band called The Veins, and they actually did put out a single with Duff McKagan on it, and this is the vinyl, the original vinyl. I have no idea how many would be in existence, but it is rare. And this is, I believe, 1980, it says on the back, from Seattle. And on the back you can see it looks like junior high or high school pictures, and this is Duff here with his pseudonym Nicotine. So,
I love that. That's
yeah.
that's awesome.
So that's Duff. But what's interesting is on the back, you know, they sort of play on the name and they say Nicotine, but then when you open it up, it's Duff McKagan. And so he wrote this first song, The Fake, and then also The Loser is another song, but it's here, it's Duff McKagan. And then on the reverse side is School Jerks. So again, just a point of GNR history for Duff. His only vinyl or recording, as far as we know, from one of his punk bands in Seattle before joining Guns N' Roses.
So do you said you listened to the album, like how did it start?
I did, and it's available to listen to online. I thought it was good, but it's been many years, obviously, since I played this particular one. It's in pretty good condition, and wanted to keep it in good condition. Again, on the back, it says 1980 No Threes Records, 103rd Seattle, Washington, which is the street, 103rd Street in Seattle, Washington. So pretty early, considering that he was born in, what, 64?
64. Jeff, have you heard it before?
The songs, no. The bands I've heard of, but
I've
not
heard
the
of it.
songs.
I've never heard the songs either, but I guess that's why people can go on YouTube. So if you guys want to listen to any of his stuff, I'll put it in the description box down below.
So this one, I believe I got at a place called the Rock Shop, which was a record store in Hollywood, probably around 1987 or 88.
Yeah.
So,
All right, perfect. Thanks
Yeah.
so much, Kevin.
absolutely. And then I thought I'd talk a little bit about...
All right, so we're back with Kevin and Jeff back from a smoke break. So we're talking about t-shirts. So Kevin, you've got some interesting GNR shirts. Like, I remember it was funny, we went to the show yesterday and the Staples Center, and you're like, oh, that's a rare GNR shirt. Like, you were able to like point out which shirts are rare and which ones aren't, which I found really astounding.
Yeah, well, my first shirt, which I'll show you, was from 1987. I have a couple from 1987. This, every shirt, of course, has a story. I'll just tell you a little bit about each one. This one, obviously, is a newer one. This was the shirt that I'm very proud of because it's from the Troubadour show, the April Fool's Troubadour show. And a lot of the newer shirts on the new tour have this front, but what's special is that on the back, it says GNR, I was there, April Fool's 2016, what does that say, West Hollywood, California, Troubadour. So this was the April 1st show last year, and I was very fortunate to get myself into that and to be down there in the front at the Troubadour. I think there were about 250 people. So it was a very small, intimate venue, and to be there in person and to get the shirt as sort of a memory of the Troubadour show and to have been right there as close as we are to each other and see Axl and Slash walk right in front of me and Duff, it was really incredible having not seen them together for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was almost shocking, to see, and people, it was a pretty powerful thing. And then there was another shirt that they put out. Again, it just has the April Fool's West Hollywood on it.
So you got this the same day you got the Troubadour shirt.
Yeah, and then this is a slightly different one because the other one just has the bullet.
It doesn't have the
This
writing
one,
on
it
the
says
front.
this, and on the back, it doesn't say I was there, but it says GNR at the Troubadour.
So was the shirt more than the ticket? Because remember the tickets were like $10 and the shirts were like $40.
Yeah, the tickets were $10, I think. 10 or 20. I think they were $10. And I was lucky that I was able to get a ticket given to me, and I didn't have to pay anything. So what an incredible thing to be able to see your favorite band, who you haven't seen with those three together in 25
Up
years.
close, so personal too.
Up close, personal, small venue, a couple hundred people, everybody diehard fans. It was an incredible event, and I'll never forget it. So why don't we kind of go to...
Sure, let's go through your...
Yeah, let's go through some older ones. So if we kind of wind back in time a little bit to 1988. This is 1988, and again, it's not in the best condition. It's been worn a lot when I was a teenager, but this is a real cool one here. And obviously, we don't see this shirt very often. In fact, I go to Guns N' Roses concerts.
Yeah.
I've been to 4 or 5 on this past year and a half,
Yeah.
and I don't see anybody wearing this shirt. So
Yeah, I've seen a few. I've seen that logo. I thought a few times.
they do have some vintage shirts
Yeah, the vintage
that were
reissues.
Yeah, this is a original 1988 copyright. So, but you are right. They didn't do it.
What's on the back of it?
They didn't do it recently, but they've reissued some vintage ones.
Yes,
So
it seems like vintage is like in now.
Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. I will see people with Guns N' Roses shirts like this, the vintage style
Yeah.
shirts at airports,
Yeah.
and talk to them, and sometimes they tell me they don't even know who Guns N' Roses is. So it's kind of
That's
more,
such a shame.
It's like teenagers.
Yeah,
or young
teenagers.
people.
Yeah, that should be a
Right.
crime. I don't know. That's just me. Right, Jeff?
Perfect crime.
Perfect crime.
Here's another memory that's very dear to me, one of my favorite memories, and this is a shirt that was from the Los Angeles Coliseum when Guns N' Roses opened up for the Rolling Stones, October 18th, 19th, 21st, and 22nd, as I recall. Yep, 1989, and this was Steven Adler's last performances in Los Angeles with Guns N' Roses, and actually it was the only, I think one of the only public performances they did in 1989, but I went to all 4 nights when they opened up in Los Angeles for the Rolling Stones, and on the back it says Los Angeles Coliseum, October 18, 19, 21, 22.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool too, again, just from the original band. And I just have a couple more to show you. And this one is a very old one, and I've never seen anybody else wear this. And it is an official shirt, but it's an old shirt. This one, I honestly can't remember if I got it at a store in Hollywood back in '87, or if I got it from the Perkins Palace show in December '87, because it was such a long time ago. I mean, it was over 30 years. But this was a great shirt, just with the original band number. It sort of looks like it's not an official shirt, but I seem to remember getting it at the concert. I honestly just don't remember where I got it, and it's very faded on the back, but it's got the Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses logo on the back.
Logo, yeah. You know, I don't know. Were they making knockoff shirts for bands that weren't even?
Well, it was.
I mean, this was 1987.
It was crazy, you know. For the guys who don't know, outside the Staples Center, as soon as we exited the show, there was tons, and Guns N' Roses comes on the radio all of a sudden. There was tons of people selling knockoff shirts, which I've never seen before in any other city.
But knockoff shirts of a band that just came out
prior? Probably not.
I don't think so.
What's the tag say?
When I showed Fernando, he told me he's seen it before, and it's a real shirt.
Yeah, it's a real shirt.
He told me.
Gurney?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's
legit.
legit.
This is from '87.
Legit,
They'd only come out. Okay, and then probably my rarest, probably most valuable one, and it's in very good condition for its age. I've only worn it a few times. What is this shirt here? And this one, there's a few shirts that you'll see that have this same front.
Yeah.
But what's special about this, and again, you'll just note that the year is 1987. Okay, and that was the first year they started putting shirts out, obviously.
Yeah.
Their debut album that same year.
So as far as we know, there's no shirts from 85 or 86.
So actually, when we were at the Troubadour show at Tower Records, and that's a whole other episode we'll do, they did have a exhibit at Tower Records that was put together by the band, and they had some very old items, and they had some very old, like, club, they looked like they were homemade t-shirts with just the original Gino logo, like the logo that's on Live Like a Suicide.
Yeah.
So there are a few of those, and I have that recording of that.
Yeah, you have the recording of that, yeah.
But, I mean, as far as mass circulated shirts, it started in 87.
87.
So this is in really nice condition. You can see it hasn't really been washed. Very little. Fading 1987. And again, what's special here is that this is actually from the Japan tour in 1988.
Yeah.
So
that was their first headlining tour, wasn't it?
Yeah. So again, they reissued this shirt with the same front and this back recently, and you'll see people with the vintage retro shirts, but not like this. This was the Japan '88, and this was, as you said, the first headline.
As far as I know, that was the first headlining tour. I thought it was a user illusion tour.
They did Australia and New Zealand.
They did Australia and New Zealand as part of that. I don't know if those were headlining dates, but which is also where they wrote Civil War. They wrote it in Australia.
I was going to say a lot of things.
It.
Yeah, apparently they wrote a lot of those. Put together some of the songs that ended up being on Illusions during that period of time.
Yeah.
But so those are the T-shirts that I kept. I mean, I'm not really big into lots of different shirts and clothing items.
Yeah.
Although I have a banner and I have a headband and I have pins and all of that. But one thing I thought I would show you is coming up in the next episode.
Okay, we're here with Kevin again. We're shooting some more stuff that he's got that's a lot of fans probably haven't seen. So, Kevin, why don't you show us what you got? We're talking about GNR books today.
Right. So we all know about the biographies or autobiographies that have been released in the last 5 years by various members. We know about some of the more recent books. Steven Adler's mother wrote a book. Craig Dessel did a book. There's who was the guy that did the book that came out that was written?
Mick Wall.
Yeah.
And then Stephen Davis did the other
Stephen
one.
Davis.
Yeah.
Watch You Bleed.
Yeah. Is it any good?
I thought it was a pretty well done book, gotta say. I mean, I thought it was pretty well done, but anything I enjoy reading on the band, if I can learn something new, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I want to just take a moment to kind of show you some books that haven't been as widely circulated. Some of these are 20 years, 25 years old. This was, I think, the first book that actually came out on the band. I think this was 1988. I can check inside the sleeve, but this was Danny Sugarman's book on the band, and he took an interesting approach, kind of making some analogies between Guns N' Roses and the Doors, and talking a little bit about mysticism and things like that. But he tells some great stories, and obviously I haven't read the book in many years, and I do know the author has since died. This is Danny Sugarman, who wrote he was a co-author on No One Gets Out of Here Alive, about the Doors, which was a huge book at the time. I'm just trying to look at the year just to show you. This was
There is a Danny Sugarman interview from years ago on MTV, talking about Guns N' Roses.
This is 91, so
Yeah.
I thought it was a little later than I thought.
And I think Axl did talk about Danny Sugarman in some interviews, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite pictures because this is very rare. I've never seen this republished in any other book. So you got to realize these books are special because they have books that have not been, or they have pictures that have not been republished. Some of them in over 20 years. And this is from the Stardust Ballroom. And this was an early performance from '85. You can see how few people are in the audience, and they're just
Yeah.
sitting around, mostly friends and girlfriends.
Right.
So that's the Danny Sugarman book. And then this is a book on the band that came out. Again, I think most of these were late 80s. Says published 1990. So this is a book about the band here.
I had that growing up too.
You had that growing up?
I misplaced it though.
Yeah. So we have a visitor here. This is really cool. I mean, these close-ups are pretty cool. And again,
Close-ups of the tattoos. It's funny, somebody said you should do a true story about the tattoos, and I'm like, well, I need some more better photos of them.
absolutely. So if you're a trivia buff, you guys know where these pictures were taken? This is from the photo shoot at El Compadre
Yeah,
Mexican restaurant
Mexican restaurant
on
in
Sunset
Firenze,
Boulevard, which still exists, the restaurant. And you can still go to the GNR booth at El Compadre, which is actually just a few blocks away from Cantor's Deli. Mm-hmm. All right, and then again, this is another one that I think might be a little less rare, and came out a little later, but again, it's still of the original 5. This would be around circa 1990, I'd say. And yeah, just some incredible pictures here.
So have these ever been republished?
So, to my knowledge, the books haven't, and many of the pictures have not.
Maybe show some of the photos from there.
It hasn't, I've kept
That
this.
photo, that's all over the internet, that photo.
Yeah, but again, I have I have magazines that have unpublished photos, and I think this
Did
does
you
have
buy
some.
that, or it came to your house?
Bought it a long time ago.
That's Axl
this
from
is
the recording of
this
that.
is a rare picture because it hasn't been published, I don't think, in many years. It's a Robert
Yeah.
John picture, and this is from the recording of Appetite for Destruction, and it's one of the few pictures of the recording sessions.
I've seen that a few times on Google, but I don't think it's as common.
Let me just find for you guys the year on it. I think it's 1989. So this was definitely from the 80s. And then I'll show you a few more, and then we'll close out the session. Again, you probably could get some of these online, but you may not know that they all exist to even know what to order. This is another one. This is some pictures. I think this is from England, I believe.
Marquee shows,
But
maybe?
look at the clarity of the pictures.
Yeah,
and
the
color.
photos are really good.
This is from the Marquee shows, I believe.
Yeah, those are marquee shows. I recognize those photos.
Some of the 87 shows are. He's here with us.
Waiting for you.
And then you see, here's a nice one. Well, many of the pictures we've seen, not all of them. This is from one of the award ceremonies, right?
Yeah.
I get them all confused, but
Yeah.
it's a nice one of Axl in a fur coat.
Yeah. You think he still wears fur, even though he's like a huge... Probably not. Nice animal rights
I
activist.
think that's Duff with Mandy. I think that's Mandy's
That's his
wife.
first wife.
I think so. That's a great one of Duff there. I think that's at the Music Awards. There you go.
No, 1990 Music Awards. I did an episode on that not too long ago.
Right, so this one, let's take a guess. I'm going to guess this is 91. Came out 89, so this is another one from the 80s. So you got to remember, they broke in 88, is when they really
Yeah.
broke.
So people were trying to cash in and write books
yeah.
and,
so, these are no longer published. I've got the Use Your Illusion 1991 tour book. This I remember buying at the LA Forum show, which was that was in '91. I think Shannon came on and did it.
Shannon Hoon, yeah, he may have came on.
Of course, Izzy was still in the band. And see, it's Duff GNR 91. It's not a real autograph, but I like it because it tells you what year it's from as well. It's got some great pictures of Izzy that are not commonly published. You're not going to find a lot of pictures of Izzy with his tattoos, and you're talking about the tattoos. This is not the clearest one. So this is more pictures from the 1991 Use Your Illusion tour.
If you maybe want to hold it up a bit more, like
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I'm here.
This is the
Hey.
Slash, and then these are the
Those are all the guys on the road crew who
all the
worked
guys
on
on
the
the
tour.
road crew.
The sound engineer before he was fired.
And what's nice is that this is with Izzy, and so it features Izzy as well.
Yeah.
So that's just probably a fairly rare item. 1991. It's kind of scuffed up.
Kind of scuffed up.
But it's pretty old too. The last thing I wanted to share is an item that is probably at this point one of a kind. I don't think there's any others. This is a magazine that back in the club days, LA magazines, there were a lot of LA magazines, and there's one called Rock City News, and it used to be called Scratch, and this is an issue from May 1986, and it's got Axl from one of their club gigs on the front, and it's got a review inside of the shows, and some pictures, which I'll show you in a second. It's not the highest quality, but it's kind of vintage. It's a vintage '86. It's like a LA scrap magazine, they used to call it. And you can see like the strippers, and that's a good one of Axl.
For you guys out there who remember me talking during the podcast about Axl at the LA Coliseum shows with the Stones, getting drug out inside the bass amp crate.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the picture. This is how they got him out of the LA show. After 1 in a Million came out, and he eluded the press by not wanting to talk about it. He got in the bass cabinet, he closed it, and he walked out the door. And security walked right past the press with Axl in the cabinet. I knew it existed, I just had to find it.
Here's some more pictures just from the spread from this magazine here. But again, this is just a local magazine covering all the shows like Poison, Faster Pussycat, Rat. They even got the bikini contest strippers, and so this is kind of a really rare magazine from '86. All right, guys. Obviously, there's always more, but that's just a little flavor of what we have to show you. Some rare Guns N' Roses memorabilia, some old books and magazines from the '80s and early '90s.
Okay, so I know Kevin said that it's one thing for him to talk about it, but it's another thing to show you the bootlegs. So these are like the stack of vinyls, and these are all bootlegs.
Oh, mostly bootlegs, some official releases.
Okay, sure. So why don't you take us through the bootlegs you have?
Okay, so I'll kind of go through this pretty quick, but just to show you, back in the late 80s, early 90s, before the internet, before YouTube, we would trade by catalog, and we would just go down to the record stores in Hollywood, and we would buy these bootlegs. Generally, they were vinyl bootlegs that were sometimes double records, and they were usually $30, $40 at least, sometimes $50 or more, which for a 14-year-old teenager with obviously no job and in school, it's a lot of money. So, and this was also back in the 80s, late 80s. So this is one of the first ones I got, which is called Dr. Love. So they would typically have an early photo of the band. And then on the back, you'd see this was Dusseldorf, 1987. And then the Ritz, 1988.
So was Dr. Love like a reference to Kiss or something?
I don't know. A lot of these were just sort of fake record companies that were, but this is kind of a rare back shot. And then they typically would have like a nice spread in here.
Yeah.
Which this, as you know, is
we've seen that photo.
You've seen that as an official poster, but again, just showing you the...
Would you ever have trouble playing bootleg records on your record player just because?
No, they would. They generally, on the turntable, they'd work. What I did is I would transfer them. I would transfer it to cassette, and then it would be the cassettes I would listen to. So these haven't been listened to. All those cassettes I showed you, the stacks of cassettes a lot of them were transferred. Okay. There was one called Everybody's Ass Is Up for Grabs. This is Dr. Love. This one is just called Paradise. I think this is Boston or Amsterdam. I can't remember.
I'm going to guess Boston because it's in green.
This is kind of fun because we're going through this. Some of these I haven't opened in years.
Trademark of quality.
Yeah, so I actually don't know what this one is. It's not labeled, and I have so many, and it's been so many years, and they were all transferred. I think this was actually the Paradise Club. That's why it's called Paradise. Paradise Club, I think it was either Boston or Amsterdam. I don't know why those two stick out in my head, but...
It's so funny how spoiled kids are these days. Like, you had to go spend $40 on these, and nowadays kids have YouTube and they can go listen to bootlegs from last night's show and see the set list and everything.
Yeah, I'd have to, beg my grandmother, basically, borrow money, beg my parents. Grandmother helped me out a lot with these to get these, and of course I preserved them in the plastic sleeves, and I don't expect them to be in perfect shape, but there's a lot of history to it. This is Bad Boys, Great Noise, which looks like it's, again, the usual, Appetite songs. This was either a concert or it was a live, either a concert or demos. A lot of these are not labeled. This says Halloween on the Horizon inside it, so, again.
So would there be people whose job it is to be like professional bootleggers and they just go to the shows and record every show they could?
I honestly don't know. I don't know what happened to those people. These were like this one. Okay, so this one is Perkins Palace, Pasadena, December 30th, 1987. I told you that there were 4 shows at Perkins Palace. Yeah. This was the last night. This is Waggle Records. So they would I think they were just sort of made up to look official. Yeah. This one you can see, this was the price tag, $45, and this was in these are 87. This was recordings, so I think this may have been 89.
Yeah. So were there any record stores that didn't sell bootlegs?
Well, these were the Hollywood record stores. Yeah. So you see that Club something record company, Guns N' Roses. So for those of you that are really into vinyl, this might be interesting. These are bootlegs, and these are well preserved. At least the vinyls are well preserved.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of kids into vinyl these days.
Yeah, but original GNR bootlegs, these were something that were circulated. The places we used to go to, mainly it was Hollywood, and also the San Fernando Valley. There was a place called Moby Disc.
Moby Disc.
Like Moby Dick, Moby Disc, on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City, Sherman Oaks, where I grew up. And then we'd go to the places like, there was a record store called Bleecker Bob's on Melrose. There was the Rock Shop. Vinyl Fetish, and those places were sort of close to a place called Retail Slut.
Yeah, Retail Slut is where Slash got his top hat from.
You got it. Yep. Retail Slut's where Slash lifted the top hat. So all those places.
So you have one that says November Rain.
Yeah, this says November Rain. This is again. These typically. This also says Waggle Records. This is 19. Jeez. I think that's 1990. It's Roman numerals.
So people already knew November Rain was like a demo. The demo must have been floating around.
These are all demos.
Oh, so can you bring it a little closer?
Yeah. Heartbreak Hotel, different versions of Heartbreak Hotel. November Rain was on many of them. Don't Cry, of course.
Shadow of Your Love, Reckless Life, Don't Cry.
Don't forget also Jumpin' Jack Flash was a widely circulated demo that was very popular. I don't believe that was ever officially released by the band.
I don't think it was. Yeah,
there was at least 3 or 4 versions out there, and I have those different versions. Let me go ahead and show you this one. This was Halloween on the Horizon, which I think this is the one that was October 31st, 1987 is what it says. And again, sometimes they were not particularly accurate either. This is Used to Love Her But I Had to Kill Her, My Michelle, Rocket Queen, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Blues Jam. Remember the original Appetite lineup did blues jams, guitar jams.
Yeah.
And from mid to late 87 all the way through. So there's a picture there. This one I think does have a middle section. Yeah, check that out.
Oh, that is cool.
So you got to remember, these were collages that were made. Remember, these were made. This is,
These are made by fans, right?
Made by fans or people profiting. Bootlegs. These are vinyl bootlegs, pressed, limited pressings, typically a couple hundred. I don't think they made more than a couple hundred. And remember, the band had only been out for or popular for a couple years or even a year at the time. So you can find them all on eBay, but for me, what's fun is finding them in the record stores. Now I think eBay and YouTube make it easy to find rare collectibles, but what's fun is getting on the bus, riding out to Hollywood, flipping through the records, finding something cool. They would sometimes put them behind the desk.
So was there ever like a rule of thumb, like, okay, you go to the record store?
This is a very early picture too, sorry. Check that out. That's an early shot, club shots.
So was there ever like a rule of thumb, like you go to the record store every Tuesday when they're on tour and you'd have like another couple bootlegs, or it's just whenever people decide to...
Every Saturday, it was a ritual. I mean, from late 87 on, it was, for at least for a couple years till I went to college. So from late 87, when I was still at home, until I graduated high school in 92, that was my ritual, is go out and check out the bootlegs. I collected everything. I had patches, I had headbands, I had, the big banners.
It's funny, the only bootlegs I've ever come across, because I think it was when I was in like HMV, they had like a bootleg of the St. Louis Ride Show, and then they had a bootleg, I think, of the Chicago show or something.
These are all, I think everything I've shown you now is
it's all on YouTube.
Appetite.
Yeah, it's all on.
These are the original Appetite demo. These are, this one here is Marquee and Limelight, and it says, this is the Limelight, so January 31, 1988, Limelight Club in New York, which I've been to. There's actually a restaurant now that is, it's been converted into a restaurant, and they have like sort of some interesting stuff there to check out. But this was the first, and I think only live complete version of Cornshucker.
Cornshucker.
That's the one where Axl says, thanks for coming to rehearsal tonight.
Yeah.
And it's a very poor quality, but it's got 1 in a Million, Patience, Cornshucker, Knock on Heaven's Door, Used to Love Her, Shadow of Your Love. So I had all of these, and this says 89, and I got it that year. So, yeah, I think this is from Japan. Izzy holding the sake, I think.
Who's that guy there?
I don't know.
Never been able to figure that out?
Never been able to figure out who that is. So this is called Metal Petals. Okay.
I think Franz references the bootlegs too. Like, I know when he uploads stuff, like he has like certain names. I think it's like just.
I think it's part of history. It's part
absolutely.
of DNA history.
That is really cool.
This is a British. I think it's a bootleg. This is not an official release, obviously. Although it's an interview with Guns N' Roses by a guy named Guy Boothby, and it says made in England. And I don't see a year on it out here, but I want to say it's about 90. 89 or 90.
Is it maybe 87 when they did the marquee shows?
Yeah, again, I don't know. It's kind of hard to put the sleeves back in, so I'll just kind of go through.
Yeah.
This is Castle Donington bootleg, original vinyl bootleg of the Castle Donington show. And again, just think about what it was like for the collectors at this time. This is the only way you could hear these shows, is because they were not officially released and there was no web at that time, right? So this was 88. And it says here, mixed in West Germany, made in West Germany. So, again, you never know if it's true.
Right.
They've got the band members and they spelled McKagan wrong. So it was kind of put together kind of sometimes sloppily.
Yeah. So I guess while you're going through, do you have like a holy grail of like bootlegs? If you could get pro shot quality of it, what would you want to see?
So of all the bootlegs, which one is the best quality?
In Guns N' Roses history, like, if you could, if there's a bootleg you were looking for or something you get pro shot footage
that I don't have.
That you don't have.
Okay, well, first of all, the best soundboard bootleg, the two best, would be the Marquee Show.
Yeah, the Marquee Show's got very good sound.
The audio soundboard of the Marquee Show, June 87 Marquee in London. There were a couple shows, but it was, I can't remember if it was the first or second night. And that's where Knockin' on Heaven's Door and Whole Lotta Rosie were recorded that were officially released. And the second one is, there is a bootleg of Perkins Palace from December 30th, 87, which I just showed you.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful soundboard, but it's an incomplete soundboard.
So what's one you don't have your hands on, but you'd love to see, released in pro shot? If you're like, okay, Axel, I want you to release one, or you get one wish with Guns N' Roses to release one pro shot footage. Would it be the Stones show?
So before October 18th, 89, I believe. It was a week before the Rolling Stones show, opening up for the Rolling Stones at the LA Coliseum. They did a warm-up show, at Park Plaza Hotel in Los Angeles, and there's clips of it online, but it was professionally shot. To my knowledge, the Coliseum show wasn't. So it's a pro shot of the original 5, and it was one of the only shows they did in 1989. They only played the 4 Coliseum
And then the
shows in October. It was 18th, 19th, 21, and 22nd. Maybe it was a different, but a week before the Stone shows. So it would be the October 89 show that comes to mind. I'm glad the Ritz show got released from 87. That was great. Also, of course, to see video of the Marquee show.
Yeah.
If that was
Marquee show, I'd love to see.
We don't know if that was videotaped.
I thought it was videotaped, but maybe I read it in one of the books. I don't remember.
Yeah. Another thing, and this is a little known fact I just learned, is that apparently someone did record Guns N' Roses in the club days at the Stardust Ballroom in '85, and that was lost.
Well, the person who recorded died, didn't they? So it's probably lost somewhere.
Yeah. Leg that it's called Torpo Deluxe. Kind of strange names. I never really paid attention to those. I just looked at what they were. This was another live show. It says printed in Australia, but Torpo Records, Toasted Records. Again, these were probably just made up names.
Yeah. To give them maybe look more legitimate and stuff. I guess if you're making profit off of it.
These were not sold, just to be clear, these were not sold in major record chains. These were not sold at Tower Records, or, they were sold, it was just kind of odd, kind of cartoon looking vinyl.
Yeah.
Again, probably most of these are available, but there's a history behind each of these. I mean, this was probably bought in 1990 for $20. So, when the average cassette tape was, $8.99, whatever it was. Okay, then there were the smaller ones. These are interesting. This was a small one. I think they called it a 45. Is that what we call them? This was a small one, and this was, $35.
Yeah.
Anything Goes. Meat and Beer Jam, which is just sort of a name that they put on it.
Yeah.
Shout Out Your Love, Don't Cry. And it says Anything Goes with different lyrics.
Oh, I wonder if maybe that's on YouTube.
Yeah, everything's on YouTube. But you see how it's got this, it's not labeled, but it's out of 500.
So there's only 500.
Yeah, so they pressed 500. And then see how they made this.
Yeah.
So again, these were all unofficial releases.
Baked on Mess.
Yeah, so it's kind of... This is another one, Appetite for Demolition, unreleased studio outtakes. And I kept the little, you'd put that in to play it on the turntable, because there's a little hook on the vinyl. And then a shot of the band, and it says rare 2-set, $30, non-refundable. I just kept everything here. And then there's a sort of, it's cute, there's like a picture of Axl signing something, and then they wrote in, this was 24 out of 500.
Could you tilt it a little bit towards me, please? There you go, that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, and there's a...
And it's Heartbreak Hotel, Back Off Bitch, Don't Cry, Jumpin' Jack Flash. And then you open it up. I don't think they even have the songs. It was just blank, so. Here's another one. Live 1988, My Michelle, Mr. Brownstone. And what's cool about this, which again was fun for us as teenagers, was it was a colored vinyl. This was really cool.
Cool, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, this is like really cool. So, I mean, imagine being 14, you're into your favorite band. This was probably bought around the time they broke, and around the time of the Sweet Child video. And imagine how fun it would be to go down to the record store and you get one of these, and it's $10 at the used record store. Here's one, Pussy and Booze, $12, bootleg. And then on the back, this is actually side one. The first song is Under My Wheels from the Long Beach Arena.
Oh, it's alive. So Axl performed on stage with Alice Cooper.
And I was there.
Oh, you were there?
I was there, yep. I went to see Alice Cooper at the Long Beach Arena, and Axl and Izzy came on and did I believe it was Axl and Izzy,
Yeah.
Not Slash. I think it was just Axl and Izzy went on and did Under My Wheels. This, I believe, you could find on YouTube.
Yeah, you probably could, yeah.
But I was there, and then I was also here at September '88, Mama Kin, when Axl and company played with Aerosmith, Mama Kin. And then this is side 2 without Axl Rose. This was when, and I was at this show too, when Guns N' Roses was on tour with Iron Maiden. They were opening up for Iron Maiden, and Axl got laryngitis. And I remember it was a big deal at the time. He was out for several shows, I think. And this was in June of '88. So this was side 2, and there was a period when Guns N' Roses was on tour opening up for Iron Maiden, and they were scheduled in summer of '88 to play the Irvine Meadows Amphitheater in Orange County, California. And I was at the show, and Axl had laryngitis, so he couldn't play. So Izzy and Slash and Duff came. I think Steven was there too, but Izzy or Duff played It's So Easy, and then Izzy sang a song, and they called it Nothing to Lose, but I think the song is the Marseille song where there's a line, got nothing to lose. I think that's it. Give me a whiskey. You know, there's a line about that. But anyway, so I never knew what
this may seem like a stupid question, but like back in the day, like how did you know when a band was on tour? Because now you got the internet. Like how would you find out? Okay, Guns is coming.
The radio. We had pirate radio, which was I think 100.3 FM.
So they'd announce when Guns is coming.
It would be announced on the radio, and it would be in the newspaper. Okay. There was a section every weekend, concerts, and you would look and see that, and then also. Just local papers, newspapers.
So you'd have to go to the box office and buy them. You could do it over the phone?
There was some before Ticketmaster. They had what was called Ticketron.
Yeah.
And you would go to they would have them at the record stores too, like the chain record stores, like Music Plus Video, or the Warehouse was another chain we had. You would go to the music chains and they would sell them too.
Right.
So, and it would be announced. So mainly radio. Yeah. So remember, we used to listen to the radio a lot. So. And I think to some extent TV. So let me just show you a couple real quick ones. This is another one with a sort of X-rated cover. Side 1 says Guns and Rappers. Side 2, or Song 2, side 1 is Patience. Side 2 is Welcome to the Jungle and Used to Love Her But I Had to Kill Her.
So we are live.
Hey guys. Thought I'd geek out a little bit on some comic books. There's a few Guns N' Roses comic books that came out in the 80s. And early 90s. These are 2 that I have. I have no idea if there's others out. These are 2 that I have. This one's from 1989, and this is Rock and Roll Comics. You can see it's got the original price tag, $1.50, $1.50, and it's the original. Not the most realistic pictures, but it is dated June 1989.
So are they like superheroes, the members of Guns N' Roses? No. Or they fight crime?
No, it's the story of the band.
Oh, it's the story of the band.
I believe it's the story of the band getting together, yeah. Yeah, this is like, this is a Slash interviewing with Poison. I mean, it goes through the whole history of the band. So it must have been done in conjunction with somebody who had some knowledge of the band, you know, at least somebody who read up on the band. So... And this is the second one, Rock and Roll Comics, Guns N' Roses. It's got the same reverse, kind of different. This one's in color, actually. This is pretty cool. This is September 1990.
Yeah.
So this is pretty rare, pretty cool. It's all in color. I haven't read these in 25 years or more, so I can't tell you what's in it. Here's sort of a story about Guns N' Roses playing with the Rolling Stones, so it's based on fact or their interpretation of things.
Their interpretation.
And then they're advertising next month the Poison story, and there's Stephen on the back. It's pretty cool for those old-time original GNR fans that might also be into the GNR comic books. So if anybody knows about any other, I believe these were the only 2, but if there are more, go ahead and leave some comments. See you guys.
See you guys.